Okay, so for this experiment, we're doing technical factor considerations and effect on long and short scale contrast. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our new console. This is our brand new console we just got. So we're gonna do groups 1 and then first, so it's 50 kVp, 5 mass, and it keeps wanting to revert back to 500 MA, but we're gonna do 200. Large focal spot, because we're gonna be going up higher as we go along. Okay, we're all set up there. So now we're gonna go on and we're gonna set up the actual knee and the step wedge. Okay, so now you need to set up 10 by 12 crosswise. A knee is gonna be on half of it, and then the step wedge is on the other half. You're gonna center just below 6 on the step wedge. You're gonna include your marker on the right-hand side, lateral side, and a number. I'm not gonna change the number for just so we can get through this, and you open it up to 10 by 12 all the way. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put my first image in. I've already done 8 because we're going to do 4 sets for 4 groups. So I've already started that one. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back and start with my second one. Okay, so I went ahead and did all 8. The first one, the EI exposure index is 1461. When you look at this step wedge, you can see all the different levels. This one was done at the 50 kVp at 5 mass, and the EI exposure index is 1461. So are we in range or out of range? Second one is done with 55 kVp, and now the exposure index is 1612. You can still see these, they don't look like they've changed that much. Now here's the nice blip of having labs. The third one decided not to include the step wedge. But if you go back and look through these images, and now looking at the exposure index number, which is 2015, this one was done at 70 kVp at 5. So we're about in the average range of what a knee would be, because we don't have a grid, remember, so we're doing it all tabletop. Second one is 75 kVp. We're still at 2137. But the image isn't changing drastically. And then the third one that doesn't show up without the step wedge, of course, and this one was done at 90 kVp at 5 mass, and the exposure index is 2406. So you look at this one at 75 or at 70, and then you go to 90, it's not that big of a change, right? Even though kVp does change, the numbers have changed significantly, but not the images. Next one, boom, we got our step wedge back. This one was done at 95 kVp. 2508 is our exposure index number, but you see how you can still see all the different levels. This shows the latitude that this system has, and digital imaging has in general. And then the last set, this one's done at 110 kVp. I think it might have been moving a little bit, so if it looks a little blurry to you, it looks blurry to me. Exposure index now is still at 2988. And then the very last one was done at 115 kVp. And that one was 2775. These are now starting to get more into the same kind of color zone. We just haven't done far enough yet to get past that, but we're not going to go past this 115. Okay, so this is our one at 50, remember? This is our one at 70, and then this is our one that we're doing at 115. You've gone from 50 up here all the way down to 115. Granted, the step wedge is getting darker compared to this first one. But when you look at the image, yeah, it's lighter, but that does not look like it's 65 kVp more. This is what happens with automatic rescaling and digital imagery. But what's nice about it is that it's still not acceptable. That's why I always tell you guys they always say it's better to toast it than ghost it. But not now that we're looking at EI numbers, because those are what come back to bite us from the radiologist when he sees those numbers. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so in the last experiment, we changed our kVp. Now we're gonna vary our mass with the elbow phantom. So we're starting with 60 kVp, 1.2 mass. We're going to do a 100 MA station, and we're going to do a small focal spot at this point. And then we're going to go ahead and do all the other images as the same. So Hang on, let's go to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to start. We're going to do a 10 by 12 lengthwise this time. Still SID is 40 inches tabletop, which means it's going to, digital readout is going to be 43. You're going to collimate to the 10 by 12 lengthwise. You're going to do, now that you're doing the step on step 7, which is right here, right above the 6. You guys haven't been out of school that long, right? And then we're going to go ahead and put the elbow on and use the right marker. And I'm just going to use the same one just to save time. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is the first one that was done. Everything's done at 60 kVp. This is 1.2 mass. You'll notice the EI exposure index is 1537. It's pretty light up here, but you can read them all the way down. Second one goes into 1.6 mass. It's 1617. They look pretty identical when you look at the different images as you go through these. The next group, this one was done at 3.2 mass. We're at 1887. Okay. And then the next one for that one is 4 mass. We're at 20007. You can still see tissue, and you can see this hasn't changed too much as we go through it. Next set, now we're getting up a little bit higher. We are now at 8 mass. Our exposure index is at 2261, but there's not a vast difference still in the step wedge. You go through. Next one is at 10 mass, 2341. Bones are starting to get a little bit darker. This is starting to change a little bit more, but not drastically at this point yet. And then the last group, this one was done at 20 mass, 2630. We're starting to lose some of the soft tissue. This is getting a little bit darker up here in step 10 of the step wedge. And then the last one is at 25 mass. We're now at 2720. We're losing a lot of the soft tissue. You can see some down here, but we're starting to lose it up here in the top. And this is now starting to get a little bit darker. So this is our very first one. This is at 1537 at 1.2 mass. These are all very, very light as you go all the way through. As you go back over and look at the video over again to do your summaries, this is the last one. It did not change that significantly going to 25 mass from 1.2 mass, but our numbers, our exposure index numbers, is what gives it away. So remember, digital imaging, you gotta be very careful because you can really get outside of the EI number and have the image still look halfway decent. So now as you guys do your summary, you're gonna work in groups I have assigned to you. It's actually in the module. So my daughter insists you guys can see my face because she's the one that's suffering all of the sarcasm because you guys aren't here to pour it on. So as you guys do your summary sheet, I'm gonna modify it a little bit. I'm thinking I'm gonna put it into the questions, like the little quizzes, so you guys will fill that out and turn it in, and then we'll go back over and review your answers. And then we're gonna have a talk at the end, so I'll probably send you a Zoom, so you'll need to know what group you're in, whether it's a 10 o'clock Zoom or a 2 o'clock Zoom. And we'll have a conversation, just a little bit of the experiment, but also what's coming up next week, how you guys are gonna do your simulated evaluations. So, all right, see you guys later.